Hi there, Mohammed. Nice to see you sent us more essays. Let's take a look at what you wrote. This one is about computer education, compulsory for young learners. Is it necessary, or will they get these things from their daily interaction with technology? Here's what you said. Number of schools are making it compulsory for young students to study computer education. I believe that such steps are essential to prepare them for the present time and time to come. This essay will discuss how rapid technological developments are demanding more and more attention of students and how this time investment will be beneficial for them in the future. Okay, that's fine. Information technology has revolutionized the way we think about formal education without the, and what changes are critical to update the syllabus without the O in line with the latest developments around the world. Learning computer science from a young age will make the students more familiar with technology, Moreover, they will understand it better with the passage of time. Recently, Microsoft awarded, you're missing a D here, Arfa Karim, a young Pakistani girl, the award of youngest code writer. You need to put a full stop here. She has influenced students to excel in computer literacy, here, with her achievements at a very young age. Thus, schools should introduce computer studies in a more meaningful and motivating manner to little learners. Okay, so I was okay with your paragraph up to this point. Okay, so all of this was fine. And while I enjoyed your example about the young Pakistani girl, I don't feel that it's entirely relevant to the way this essay should be developed. It's talking about why students should have computer education in schools, okay? And in general, do they need it, or will they learn computers on their own? So your example here really didn't help that argument in either direction. So I have to disagree with your decision to do that, and and kind of encourage you to try to focus on something else here for your example. Okay, so let's look at the next paragraph. Computers have become a fundamental element of today's world, and students are using the internet to enhance their general knowledge by playing various fun games or watching the achievement of other students over YouTube. For example, my 2-year, no S here because it's an adjective, 2-year-old son started to learn about colors with different examples in various uploaded, careful with your spelling here and your typing, videos. Therefore, designed syllabus with no O based studies will give them more confidence, and they will start asking the questions which we started at a very later stage of our school studies. All right, again, you did the same thing that you did in your previous paragraph. Your example really is not supporting your argument, or it's not supporting what you're supposed to be supporting. Remember what the question is asking you. Do you think children need to have computer education in school? And then you have to explain why you think it's necessary for them to have computer education in school. Or do you think they will get the computer skills they need just from their interactions with computers? So from what I understand, both of your paragraphs are in favor of making computer education compulsory and how it's necessary. But what you need to do is you need to find examples and main ideas that support this. So why should students do this in school rather than on their own in home? I mean, what are the reasons, and what kind of examples can you give us that support those reasons? Okay, so that's what you need to be doing here. So this whole thing here about Arfa Karim didn't really help, because we don't know if Arfa Karim got, compulsory computer education in school. We don't know that. And so you're not supporting what you think you're supporting. And the same thing applies here with the example of your son. In fact, the example of your son is really kind of supporting the exact opposite idea. Your son, I'm assuming, did not learn computers from a compulsory school program, okay, but, you know, at home. And so you're actually arguing the point that I'm not really sure what you're trying to argue here. Here, then you're talking about design syllabus-based studies. So it's just not a coherent paragraph. It's not cohesive. There's not a central idea that we can kind of say, okay, yeah, this is what we're talking about in this idea, and this is what's being supported. So it's kind of problematic in a couple of different ways. I hope all of that makes sense. Let's take a look at the conclusion. To conclude, without the ED, such initiatives by schools should be encouraged by the parents, and schools should advocate their stance by conducting conducting workshops to communicate the importance for young learners in the ever-growing competitive world. All right, that was fine, but as I've said, your body paragraphs really needed a lot of work. I'm not getting the sense that you had a central idea for these paragraphs, and that you really had examples that supported, you know, the main idea that you were trying to support here. Okay, so it definitely needs a little work. I know that in your email you asked for some sample essays on this. I'm not sure if we have any. I can certainly find out for you. I will look into it. But I mean, like I said, there were other things that you could have said here in other types of examples, and that was for me the biggest problem here. All right, let's see what else you wrote us. All right, so now let's take a look at this letter to the newspaper editor. Let's see what you said here. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing this letter to draw your attention to an article published by your newspaper in the last Sunday edition with the title, Evening Quiz Shows Are Dying Their Natural Death. Let me explain my stance with regard to one of the shows, namely General Knowledge with a Twist, which is being telecasted by BBC each Friday evening. So get rid of the on and lowercase e here. I have been watching this show over a decade now, and I have seen how their quiz-based games have, with a VE, evolved to convey general information in a fun and interactive way, comma, compelling the audience, or which compels the audience to stay on the channel when it is running. I don't really 100% understand this expression. What are you trying to say? Just to stay tuned to the channel? To not, like, switch channels? I'm not really sure. Okay. This show has enriched my vocabulary, careful with your typing, and my visual understanding immensely. Again, careful with your spelling. I can imagine such an old show will have a great pool of yeah, you can't really say this, a great pool of regular audience. It's just a very awkward expression. Audience is uncountable, and so it's difficult to have a great pool of one. So you really, you could have said a great pool of regular spectators or regular viewers. Viewers would have been a good word here, but definitely not audience. And this printed article can tarnish the image of limited quality content available on television nowadays. Get rid of the. Therefore, I'm requesting you to consider the repercussions of such articles and issue a suitable remedy in this regard for your readers. I'm looking forward to a prompt response. Thanks. Okay. Let's see. I know you're over the word count. That's not my concern. I know you are. I just feel like this is missing a little information for me. Okay, so you mentioned the title, that they're dying their natural death, and then you say, explain my stance, but I don't really understand what your stance is. So I think what you really need to say here is that you really disagree with the viewpoint of the author. All right, you needed to make that clear. And then, so I think that should have happened up here, and then you could explain this. I guess it's okay. So I guess the rest of it is okay. It was just some of the language that was a little strange and difficult to deal with. But essentially, that's the big issue for me. Like, you say that you're going to explain my stance, but you never really explain what your stance is, and you never really explain why you disagreed with the author's opinion. So that felt like it was definitely missing for me. So the rest of it is fine. The one thing that I do take issue with is this. Thanks is not an appropriate sign off. All right, remember this is a formal letter. So if you were going to thank somebody in a formal letter, it would have to say thank you, first of all. It still should not be your sign off. Because you don't know the name of the person, the sign off has to be yours faithfully. Okay? And so what you could have said is, I'm looking forward to a prompt response. I thank you in advance. And then yours faithfully. So that would have made sense here, okay? But the way it is right here, it's missing something, and an examiner is not going to feel too happy about that. So be careful, okay? Okay, so nice job. Keep working. I know you're working hard, but I do need you to make some improvements, especially, you know, with the set that I saw today. So keep at it, and I'll wait for your next essays. Good luck.